Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today and welcome to the Specialist Trading Educational Presentation. Now, today I want to talk to you about how to identify markets literally just days before they break out. And this new method I want to share with you and talk about with you today really identifies these markets in just a matter of days. And you can actually use this same tool on an intraday basis as well. Now, I know a lot of students are always saying, Steve, I'm always missing these big moves. It seems like everyone else is capturing these big high flyers, the ones that take off and are up 20 points in one day. How can I find those? Well, a lot of the problem stems from the tools that you're using and the way in which you analyze the market. For example, let's look at this chart here in NTLA. This just happened about a month or so ago. Someone looking at this, the way most students were looking at this, myself included when I first started trading, they basically said, well, we're going sideways. This is a sideways market. So there's nothing you can really discern from this. So my analysis for this is basically, there's nothing to see here. There are actually no trading opportunities. And this is why most traders will miss these moves, because they're basing their analysis on faulty equipment or faulty tools. Well, with this feature that I'm going to be sharing with you today, it actually would have generated a breakout setup just days in advance of a big move like this. And in a matter of just 6 days, potentially students could have captured up to 120 points out of this breakout. Now, I know a lot of you will say, well, Steve, I don't trade that way. I look at fundamental news. I like to look at the earnings, or I like to look at what's going on fundamentally within the stocks. That's how I make my decision. I'm not really well trained in looking at charts or in looking at a lot of this technical information you're sharing with us. That's okay, because what we've done today is make it simple. I developed the PTS platform, Primo charting platform with ProTrader strategies to make trading simple, because this platform auto-identifies these breakouts that we're going to be talking about today. So this promises to be a great educational presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. We're still getting our bearings around the Zoom platform. So if you're having any technical issues, or if you can't see or hear me clearly, just simply go to your chat box and let us know. But I think everything should be okay. We're sharing the screen right now, and hopefully you'll be able to see and hear me clearly. But once again, if you're having difficulty, just go into the chat box and let us know if you can't resolve the issues on your own. So welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for a total of 44 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, which I was on the floor for a total of 16 years. And 9 of those years, I was a specialist. Now, a specialist is someone who made markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So in those days, without the advanced, ability of being able to trade electronically, in those days, if you wanted to buy or sell a particular stock or equity, you would call up your stockbroker. He in turn would call the floor broker on the trading floor of the exchange, and that floor broker would walk up to the trader who specialized in making a market in that particular stock. That's where we get the name specialist. So I did that during the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. So I've traded just about everything under the sun, every market condition and environment, and every technique as well. So I know in 44 years what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't. And that's what we've done here with Specialist Trading. I teamed up with ProTrader Strategies, where all we try to do is educate our students around the world so that ultimately they have a feeling that they're trading consistent methods, and that enables them to make their own trading decisions. This, in my opinion, is the only way one becomes a consistent trader. So hopefully you'll see in our courses and our classes the attention to detail we give in really trying to educate you on how to become a consistent trader. And you'll see that in today's educational presentation. Now, before we begin, once again, as always, we're required to share this with you. So please take a moment to view the disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this new breakout method, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, if you'd like to get more education on a daily basis, here's a way to do that. Just follow us on Twitter. Every day I post anywhere from 4 to 6, 7, 8 different postings where I give little bits of financial wisdom and also share a lot of our education in terms of signals that have been generated through our strategies or techniques. So there's lots of great free education on a daily basis. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now remember, We're not like other webinars you may have attended. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I think the market's going to do, if it's topped out or if it's going to go lower or go higher. That's not really what we believe in. In fact, it's our belief that that's a disservice to students, because once you start telling people what you think the market's going to do and what you think this stock's going to do and whether you should buy this or sell this, you're basically doing a disservice to your students, because you're taking them out of the game. You've taken their power away from them, and you've basically stopped all their education and told them just to blindly follow you. And that really is a recipe for a disaster. The entire industry is based on that, on you giving away your power to someone or something. It could be a system, a trading system, or it could be some guy in a chat room. But basically, once you do that, you're really lowering your odds for being a consistent trader. So what we try to do is teach you how to be a consistent trader. So as you'll see here, we never tell our students what to buy or what to sell or what time frame to trade or what the perfect market is. My goal is simply to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. This is the same edge I was taught some 4 decades ago. Hopefully it will be able to sustain you the way it's sustained me. And that's really our devotion to trying to educate you as our students. Now, before we begin, once again, since we are new, a lot of people are, new to Zoom, myself included. We used to be on GoToWebinar, but now we're trying this new platform here. If you're having difficulty seeing or hearing the presentation, this isn't a video where I have my face on the screen. This is just simply the PowerPoint presentation and my voice along with it, because we're really trying to educate you. So if you can't do that or see that, let us know. Just go to the chat box and let us know. And if you're having difficulty, once again, type it into the chat box and we'll try to get our tech support to resolve that for you, okay? Oftentimes, if you log off and then log back on, you'll be able to see this. All right, with that stated, let's begin today's educational presentation. Now, what we are going to be talking about today is a brand new feature. I'm really excited about this because this is our bracket breakout trading method. This is a brand new tool that really hasn't begun yet in terms of giving it out and passing it out to our students. In fact, no one has used this other than me and some traders at Pro Trader Strategies, but this is a brand new feature that I think will really elevate your trading. Let me share with you exactly what this is. So if you're asking what exactly does the bracket breakout trading method do, or what does this feature do? Well, this is a tool that's designed to identify stocks, futures, currency pairs, ETFs, and cryptocurrencies that are set to break out. You see, that's its only job. We're looking for breakouts, and most of these breakouts will happen in just a few days. Now, obviously, that's not 100% guaranteed. Nothing is, but that's what it's designed for. So let's take a look at this generic bar here, bar chart. Now, we specifically left out all the information because this could be, for all that matters, it could be a 5-minute bar chart. It could be a monthly bar chart. It could be a currency pair, or it could be a stock or even a future. It absolutely makes no difference. But here's how the BBTM, the bracket breakout trading method, works. Firstly, you'll see these brackets above and below the bar when a setup has been generated. So what exactly do these brackets mean? Well, that upper bracket in green is the buy bracket. This is where you want to go into the buy mode if price trades around here. And the lower one, obviously, is the sell bracket. So how exactly do we initiate a trade? This is a setup, but how exactly do we initiate a trade? Well, when you see a bar like this with a buy bracket and a sell bracket above and below it, this is a setup. And usually what you'll see is a bar that follows afterwards that is within the realm of these two brackets. And what happens is after that bar appears, what you want to do is initiate your trade depending on which bracket is first broken through the threshold. So in other words, let's say price trades here first before it trades at the sell bracket. Well, then that's a buy at or anywhere above. That's what it's signaling. So you can actually buy once it touches that bracket or anywhere above. It's entirely up to you. But that just means you're in the buy mode. Let's say after you see this bracket breakout setup, you have a bar here where nothing trades, and then the next bar trades lower at the sell bracket before it even traded up here. Well, then that's telling you that you can either sell at or anywhere below that sell bracket. You see, this is the beauty of this. There's nothing, it really is having you just, basically learn how to listen to what the market wants to do. So how do bracket breakout setups differ from other specialist trading methods? Because I know a lot of you are saying, well, how is this different from the PTSXT or the PET-D or a strategy signal? Well, firstly, the market, not you, decides which direction you'll be trading. You see, so many times we've applied different ways to tell you if you're in a buy mode or a sell mode, and then you have to decide what you're looking for. Are you a buyer or a seller? But that's up to you. Well, here, the market's deciding. You're simply piggybacking, what they call piggybacking, where you're just going along with it. And that's the true essence of trading. You're following what the market wants to do, not what some guy in a chat room is saying, or not what some indicator that you have no idea what it's based off, but you're following what the market wants to do. Now, secondly, the breakout setups don't require applying the buy-sell line. Now, the buy-sell line, we've talked about many times before, is the 50-period moving average. Okay, now the 50-period moving average is our buy-sell line, which initiates whether you should be in buyer's mode or a seller's mode. Now, you don't need to apply that here because breakouts, as we know, can occur anywhere. They can occur at the bottom of a sell-off and break out to the upside, or at the top of a nice rally and break out to the downside. Or they can have breakouts that continue to go in the direction. So it's really not required. Now, if you want to be more conservative, well, then you can only trade the bracket breakout setups that are in sync with the buy-sell line. So it's your prerogative. Next, the bracket breakout setups come with predefined risk parameters. We'll go over this more in the course. But basically, if you buy, and that's your initial setup where you the buy breakout is violated, well, then you'll go long. Well, then you can simply, one of the easiest ways to apply your risk is to use that lower sell bracket as your exit. And so right away, in the beginning, before you've even initiated the trade, you'll know how much you have to risk. So you can decide for yourself if you want to take the trade or not. Now, the setups are not based on pullback or continuation entries. If you've gone to my presentations before, you've heard me say that there's basically only two ways to trade if you're trading strategies. The first one is a pullback. That's called for an overall uptrend, and then you look to buy at lower prices. That's a standard pullback buy. Now, if you're a continuation trader, you look to buy when a trend has already been established and you buy it all the way up. Obviously, you do the reverse for these different categories. But since this is not a strategy, this is just a technique, this is just a method, we don't need to have anything established or based on pullback or continuation. So we're really stripping away things to make it a lot simpler for you. And then lastly, these setups come with predefined one-click exit levels. Now, in the course, we'll tell you a different ways in which to exit, different ways in which to protect yourself with stop placement, and different ways to enter. But right off the bat, on our platform, we have exit levels that are one click away. All you have to do is simply click on the exit levels, and they're right in a matter of seconds displayed for you on the platform. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. Okay, so how exactly do you apply the bracket breakout setups feature? How do you do it? Well, you have to have our platform, obviously, because we've made it simple for you. But let me share with you an example in Apple that happened last month or so, okay? Now here, someone, once again, using standard conventional wisdom analysis would say, well, Steve, yeah, sure, Apple's been going up, but you know what? I like to follow the institutions because that's where the big money is. And I took a $10,000 course and I have their big indicator that is supposed to determine where support and resistance is based on these institutions. And there's major resistance here. So obviously I don't want to be a buyer at this point. Whereas someone else could say, well, Steve, you know, if I click on the bracket breakout method, all I have to do is simply click on bracket, and it's actually telling me right here that this is a good chance for a breakout. So you don't have to really wait to see, you know, if the institutions are going to sell here, because there may be a breakout taking place. Now, as you can see here, the brackets are above and below the setup bar. Usually what you see is the next bar within that realm. This is a good standard setup. And then usually on the third or fourth bar, that's where you can decide to enter. That's when you'll see either the top or the bottom breakout levels violated. So let's see what happened. Well, on the very next day, you actually had a buy setup. Why? Because the top threshold was touched first. So you can actually buy at that level. And as you see here, we display the actual number of the price where you can enter, or anywhere above. It can be anywhere above. It really doesn't matter. But basically what the bracket breakout method is telling you is that once we are above that green line, you should be a buyer. And you should enter at any place you really feel is comfortable for it. Because as you see, coming into July last month, the stock was up 20 points. And you see how it broke out and just continued to go higher and higher. So that's how simple it is. You just click on the bracket breakout tab right here. In the drop-down menu, we click on brackets, and that's it. All right, so let's look at some recent bracket trade examples, okay? And these are very recent, and you'll be able to check them out for yourself. I see that someone is having difficulty seeing the chart. Many times, if you just log off and then log back on again, that will help you. A lot of times it could be your internet connection, but don't worry, we are recording this presentation. So if anyone still has difficulty and they can't seem to find or see anything, we will send every one of you a link to this recording, okay? All right, so let's look at this CLOV example here. Once again, looks like as if absolutely nothing is happening, right? Kind of basically going sideways. It's a non-trendy market. This is where most students walk away and say, well, there's absolutely no action. I don't want to trade something like this. So they'll just walk away from this trade. But on our platform, all you have to do is click on, actually it's the bracket breakout method. I had clicked on the wrong thing there. And this is the wrong setting, but you click on bracket. And what do you see there? There's a bracket right there above this bar here coming into June. So all you would have to do is decide, well, listen, this is an $8 stock. Now, if I think it's going to go lower, well, how much can I make here? This is a $7.50 stock. So maybe you want to just say, I'm only going to be a buyer. Either way, you have the next bar, which nothing happened. And this is a good setup. This is what you want to see. And look what happened on the third bar. It traded above. So this is where you would want to get into the chart. 17 points in the next week. All right. See how simple that is. Let's look at this example in MRIN. Okay. Once again, this is what we call a flatlining chart. It's basically just going sideways. As we click on the tab, once again, you'll just click on the bracket feature. And there we have a bracket. So where one would say, well, Steve, I don't want to do anything here because it's just a flatlining chart. Obviously, it's getting ready to break out according to this proprietary tool here. So since this is a $1.50 stock, I would really suggest not shorting this because how much do you have to make on the downside? You don't want to short a $1.50 stock. That's the max you can make. So what I'm saying here is to look at this only from a buyer's point of view, okay? And as you can see, 1.72 would be the area in which you want to enter. As you see here, we went sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars or 5 days. So neither the top nor the bottom threshold was violated, but it's still intact. And remember, we don't really want to short a $1.50 stock. So what we do here is wait for the top threshold to be violated. And on the 6th day, look what happened. It gapped up a little, but you still would have bought the stock roughly about $2. 25 points in the next 2 weeks. All right. This is well before any news came out. This is well before they started talking about what was going on in MRIN, Marin Software. The stock was telling you it wanted to break out. This is how valuable this tool is. Before we go on, if anyone is having trouble seeing the chart, remember someone just posted in the chat box, all you have to do is click on the view on the top right of the screen. That should help. I hope that helps. If it is, let us know. And that's something we're going forward. Tell our students just to click on view and you should be able to see everything clearly. Okay, let's look at UPS. This just happened just a few weeks ago. Someone looking at this will say, well, Steve, we're in an uptrend, right? We're making higher highs, higher lows. Well, sure, but look what happened. A bracket breakout setup was generated right here on the 22nd of July, just a couple of weeks ago. So for all we know, this could mean that it's going to go higher if the top bracket was violated, but we don't know yet. So we sit back and wait. Now, remember, we know this is now a $200 stock, okay? So this is a $200 stock, so perhaps you don't want to buy this, or perhaps it's too difficult to short this. So what you want to do is maybe buy some puts, or maybe a spread a strategy with a bias, either to the up or to the downside. It's entirely up to you. Remember, that is your choice. So here's what we do. We wait to see what happens. Now on the next day, it did trade below there, but you have plenty of time to get in. You could have waited another day to get in at the same price, which is roughly 211.86. This was on the 26th of July, once again, a couple of weeks ago, 25 points. And look what happened here, the gap down. Obviously some news or something initiated that, but this is the beauty of the bracket breakout method. Remember, you're following what the market wants to do. We're not telling you to follow the buy-sell line. We're not creating a strategy. It's entirely up to you if you want to follow what the breakout is. Here's an example in AMC. This happened back in June, but remember, this is before AMC took off. AMC had been steadily going higher, where a lot of students would say, well, Steve, this was a $15 stock. Now it's in the 30s. It's gone up 100%. I don't know if I want to touch this or not because it's kind of gone up too much and too quickly. Well, that's your prerogative. We totally understand, but let's look what happened. On the 28th of May, just before coming into June, there was a bracket setup. So for all we knew, this was going to be a breakdown to the downside. Now, as we see here, the very next day, we're inside this bracket. So this is a good sign. This is what you want. You want to see that coiling. But look what happened on the next day. It broke out to the upside where you could have purchased at $36.72, maybe $37 on slippage. Either way, you could have potentially made 35 points in one day. Remember, students are always coming to us saying, I always miss these big moves. Well, what if you had the potential to capture 35 points in one day? This is the potential of the bracket breakout method. Okay, as we see here in CRSP, all right, once again, this was just a month or so ago, kind of a sideways market, not really trending, but here we had a setup. 2 days later, we traded to the upside. Remember, you can either buy at that price, 122.64, or anywhere above. It makes no difference. This is not a strategy. This is just telling you where the mode is. Are you in a breakout, or are you just basically kind of just going sideways or breaking lower? Either way, you should have been on the long side of CRSP, CRISPR, because the stock went up higher. Now it went up basically from 122 up to 140, 141. Not a lot, not a big breakout, but here we have another setup. So you could have gotten in again if you wanted. Ultimately, a week or so later, the stock was actually up 47, nearly 50 points from where the initial setup was. As we look in Tesla, here's where most traders have difficulty, myself included. When I first started trading, this was very difficult for me to do. As we see here, the stock has been going down. This was in May. This is a long time ago, but we were going lower. Most students would say, well, Steve, sure, we're going lower, but we're kind of oversold here. And we didn't confirm this breakdown here. We went below it, but we didn't close below it. So this is telling me that maybe I should think about buying it. Well, you can if you want to, but let's see what the bracket breakout method was telling us. It was actually saying right here that there was a bracket setup. Here's the next inside day, which usually you see. And then here, we broke down below the lower threshold. So that's where you wanted to sell. Now, students would say, well, Steve, I sold it and then it closed up higher. That's okay. We could use this as your stop, or you could have a predefined stop or use one of our stop methods that we teach in the course. Either way, you should have still been short because the stock went down 120 points in the next couple of weeks, okay? You see how the bracket breakout method, triggered that and told you well in advance before this broke out? Let's look at Costco. Here's another market where it looks like it's basically just going sideways, right? We're in a range market. There's nothing to see here. There's no real opportunity. It's just kind of going sideways. Well, here we had a bracket setup right here. Now, nothing happened for 2 days. Even though it looked like it got close there, it really didn't touch the top threshold. So for 2 days, nothing happened. Where most students will say, well, gosh, so nothing's going to happen then. I guess this is not a good setup. Actually, that's what you want to see. It's been my experience that after trading this for a while and really, researching it, that the longer you have within that range, that bracket range, without either one of the brackets being violated, you may have a better setup because the stock is coiling. It's getting ready to break out either one way or the next. Now, as you see here on the third day, we finally did break through that top level. And look what happened, 28 points. Now, if you missed that, guess what? There were more setups generated along the way. All right, let's look at NEGG. All right, this just happened about a month ago, not even a month ago, actually. But once again, we're just going sideways. But right here, we have a bracket. This is a $10 stock, not expensive stock, but still, how much maximum favorable movement do you have to the downside? Roughly 10 points. That's the most you can make, but it's unlimited to the upside. So we would suggest for the inexpensive stocks to only look for the buy setups, okay? And it's up to you, but as we see here, 2 days happened with nothing really taking place, but then on the third day, there was a breakout to the upside. So at this point, you just want to be long. As we can see, in a week, the stock went up 68 points. It was trading at $10. It went up to 78. All right. Remember, this is all generated without the help of any fundamental news, without using tons and tons of calculations that you have to do on your own and nightly figure out what's going on through a host of different stocks. It's all done right there. It's one-click access for our students. All right, let's look at NTLA. This actually just happened once again last month. Another example we were talking about here where a buy setup occurred. You could have purchased on the next day, or most likely, if you missed that, anywhere above you want to be a buyer. 120 points in the next 6 days, okay? Here's an example in DTST. Now, this is a very inexpensive stock. As you can see here, we're talking about, basically $6, but you could have purchased right there. And look how many days it took. 1, 2, 3 on the fourth day. Remember, the longer you have where a price doesn't trade at the top or bottom threshold, it's been my experience. We haven't, evaluated this and statistically back tested it, but it's just been my experience from back testing this, that's a good sign. That's really what you're looking for, because once it does break out, either to the upside or the downside, you're going to see that nice big move. Well, roughly at about $6, you could have purchased this. And as we see later, the stock went up 7 points. Now, I know I've been sharing with you a lot of examples where they're up, 60 points, 120 points. And right here you say, well, up 7 points. What's good about that? But remember, this is a very inexpensive stock. And that just gained basically 100% price gain. Imagine Amazon having 100% price gain in 2 days. All right, going from roughly 3,000 or 4,000 up to 6,000 or 7,000 or so. Okay, now speaking of Amazon, here's an example. All right, let's go through the process. All right, we have Amazon right here. It's headed higher. All right, we have a nice uptrend. But what do we see? We have a doji here. Now, if you're a student of candlesticks, using the conventional wisdom tells you, well, that's usually a trend change sign. It's usually telling you that there's some indecision in the market. And since that indecision is at the top of a range, most likely we're going to have a sell-off here. On top of that, all of your indicators are overbought. This is telling you that, we're way too high. You got to sell Amazon. It's gone straight up. Look at the chart here. The last 2 weeks have gone straight up. So you don't want to buy this. You want to actually look to sell. But if you click on the bracket breakout, click on breakouts, and you'll see 2 days prior to that, there was a setup. So all you really had to do was follow this if you really want to follow what the market is doing, rather than what some outside indicator or what some, conventional wisdom is telling you. Why not just listen to what the market wants to do? It's telling you, yeah, I do want to break out, but you're going to have to follow me because I don't know which way yet. Well, as you see here, it did break out to the upside. So you had 2 days to get in roughly about this price. All right. Nearly 400 points coming into July last month. Now, let's show you some other markets and some other time frames. I know not everyone trades stocks, so I want to share with you to show you how this can be applied to other tradable units here. For example, a 15-minute chart of the E-mini futures. Same process applies. You have the bracket set up. You have that inside day following, so that's a good sign. On the second bar, you could have purchased here and basically potentially made 25 points in a few hours. All right, that's over $1,200 per contract. If you like to trade currency pairs, here's a 4-hour chart of the dollar yen. Okay, we actually had 2 setups here. Here was the setup. You could have gone anywhere in the first couple of days, 1, 2, 3 days, gotten that same price. And then look at all the days in between where on the second setup, it was coiling. And look at the big down move here. So potentially you could have made 120 pips. That's roughly about $1,200 per unit. And then lastly, Bitcoin. Here's a weekly chart of Bitcoin. And this was when Bitcoin was taking off. But remember, this was last year, 2020, because this is a weekly chart. A setup was generated in September of 2020, all right, telling you that it was going to break out. But we didn't know which direction. If you were interested in Bitcoin, you could have followed this 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. On the fourth week, it violated the upper threshold. Had you purchased Bitcoin then, that's a 50,000 point potential gain you could have made. Not saying you would have stayed in that long. I don't think anyone would have. I know I would have gotten out a lot quicker. But I'm just sharing with you the power behind this bracket breakout setup, because you're basically just following on board what the market wants to do. I mean, think of something busting out. Think of a horse busting out in a horse race, and then you just jump on the saddle to let it take you wherever you want to go. That's the same thing and the same concept behind the bracket breakout trading method. Okay, so let's review, okay? What are the advantages of trading with the new bracket breakout method? Well, we talked about this. The market, not you, is deciding which direction you'll be trading. Now, because of that, you don't need or require the buy-sell line. You don't need to be on the right side of the market, because breakouts can occur anywhere. This is the only method we have of this kind. So it's not really using our standard tools for trading. Now, you can use the buy-sell line if you like. You'll be a more conservative approach, and you'll still get the nice setups, but it'll be more conservative. But we teach you different ways to trade it in the course as well. Now, the setups come with predefined risk parameters. Once again, we'll go over this in the course, but you can see if you violate the upper threshold, well, then you can use the lower threshold as your stop and vice versa. So you'll know initially what your stop is and what your risk is. Now, if it's out of your realm, if say the breakout is based on 20 points, well, then you don't want to take that trade if it's too much for you. Say it's just a couple of points, well, that's the one you want to take. Now, the setups are not based on our standard pullback or continuation entries. So we're not using the basic formats that we use for strategies. Remember, once again, this is just a method here. Now, our setups come with predefined one-click exit levels. This is something that is so valuable, because once you're in a breakout, what's the first thing you say to yourself when you've got a big, huge profit in a couple of days? You're saying, well, where do I get out? I mean, it comes, one of our exit methods is predefined on the platform, and I'll share that with you in just a few seconds. If you've been thinking that trading is more like this example right here, that everyone else is profitable and everyone else is successful, they're at the front of the line and you're at the back of the line waiting for your chance, for your opportunity, here's your opportunity to go right to the front of the line, trading with bracket breakouts. It's like going right to the front of the teller line, because you don't have to wait anymore. You're seeing where these breakouts can occur. Now, obviously, every setup is not 100% successful. But we've been looking at this for months, and I've been basically trading it with a beta format for ages now. And this can really help you, because I've seen tremendous success with this, because it really gets you involved in these things before there's any awareness that they're going to break out at all. So it really is a great tool that we really feel can add to your level of consistency. All right, because of this, we have a great offer for all of you attending today, okay? We're going to have an introductory special offer. We haven't launched the class yet. We haven't launched this. No one is trading this except myself and a few other people at Pro Trader Strategies. But this is our bracket breakout trading method designed to identify these big moves, okay? Now, you can apply this once again to any market, any time frame. The market decides the direction you will be trading. Now, you saw the ease of use of this. You saw how simple it was to apply this with one-click access on our platform. So here's what we're going to do. If you decide to become a student of mine in the Bracket Breakout Method course, we're going to throw in 12 months free of the platform, okay? You're going to get free access to not only the Bracket Breakout Method, but also to other features that you'll only find on our platform. Other features like our enhanced buy-sell line. These are 4 different ways to determine what the overall trend is, if you want to use that for your trading. Also, a strength of trend tool. This is a great tool that determines whether a trend is running out of steam or if it still has some more gas left in the tank. This is a great way to determine how long you want to be in that breakout. We also have other technical indicators, 90 of the most prominent ones, along with great tech support. But in my opinion, 2 of the best things on our platform are the signal scanner that you'll get, because you can scan for these setups, and the auto-generated exit levels. let me share with you how simple they are to apply. Let's say you had scanned a couple of weeks ago and you saw that there was a setup in YVR, okay? Liquid Media Group. This was on the 13th of July. Once again, just a couple of weeks ago. Let's say you did a scan and you go, okay, here's the setup. There's that next day where nothing really happened. So that's a good sign because it's getting ready to coil. Now, this is not an expensive stock. Remember, we're looking at a $1, $2 stock. So this is not very expensive. So obviously, you're not going to take the sell side of this because what's your goal? To make 1 point, to the downside? You don't want to short a $1 stock. So what you want to do is wait to see if the upper side is violated. As we look here, these are the exit levels. Now, once you become a student of our course, you could say, well, how do you get those? All you have to do is double click on the side that you think you are going. In other words, if you think that the upper buy bracket is going to be broken, if there's going to be a breakout to the upside, double click that and you'll automatically see these exit levels appear. All right, you'll only see that on the platform. Now, if you're the type of person that wants to get in and out of these breakouts quickly, well, then you'll exit at level 1 or 2. For more moderate return, you'll exit at level 3. And if you want to get the most bang for your buck, you'll exit at level number 4. All right, so let's see what happened. Well, we did break out to the upside. You could have purchased at 1.68. Let's say you bought 5,000 shares. It's an inexpensive stock. Let's say you bought 5,000 shares of this, okay? In one day, had you held on to this and used the top exit level, you could have exited here and made a quick 4,000. That's if you had entered there and exited at these prices. Just saying, potentially you could have done that. Here's the one thing we teach our students. If you're going to use this exit method, which is just one of many we teach, it's best to get out of your position entirely at the top and final exit level, because many times we've seen that's where the trend changes. For example, you would have exited right here at 2.48, and look what happened in the next 2 days, all the way back down to breaking even. And at this point, you would have been kicking yourself saying, I had a $4,000 profit, now I'm basically losing money. So this is the beauty of using these auto-generated exit levels. This works to the downside as well. All right, here was a bracket breakout setup in Chubb. All right, this was going back to June. Here's the next day, nothing happened. This is what you want to see, that coiling effect. Now, if you're thinking of it going lower, you would have double-clicked on the lower bracket, and you would see these are your exit levels. Once again, if you want to be in and out quickly, you would exit either here, cover your position at the first or second level. Have a more mid-range type expectation, you use the third level, but obviously the fourth level will give you the most bang for your buck, and that's where you want to exit the trade entirely. You no longer want to be short or long the puts or some type of spread strategy with a bias to the downside. You want to be out altogether. Now, a day later, you could have gotten short, and look what happened coming into July here, okay? So that's a nice little trade. And as you can see here, it went right down to the fourth and final level. So as we conclude here, I want you to ask yourself before you ask me questions. Remember, there are only 5 months left in the year. Do you think the bracket breakout method can help your trading for the remainder of 2021? If you're not seeing the type of results you want, this is where you want to be. If you've always seemed to miss the big moves, then the bracket breakout method is what you've been waiting for. It's what you've been searching for, because it's specifically designed to capture these big moves in advance, okay? All right, so let's go over the introductory special offer. Remember, we haven't launched this yet. I'll tell you in just a few minutes when we're thinking about launching this. It's designed to identify these big breakouts. This includes the proprietary chart add-on. This includes all the instruction for the class. It also includes educational correspondence. Now, our early pre-launch special price is roughly about $5,000. It's $49.95. But for taking the time out and coming to hear me speak today, we're going to discount this, all right? So we're dropping the price down to $39.95. We're going to drop it down 20%. You're going to save $1,000 right off the bat. And remember, this also includes 12 months free of the platform. You're going to get that ease of use by simply clicking it on and off. Now, on top of that, there are literally dozens of other features that you'll only find on the platform. I only had the space to show you a few of them, like the scanning ability and the auto exit levels. But there are so many other features that you'll only find on our platform, things that I've taken from my years of trading on the trading floor and things that you won't find anywhere else. So this is another great addition to becoming a student of this class, is that you'll get the platform for a full year and be able to use all of the other different features included with that. Now, please remember, included in your membership is also a special one-day live event. I'm going to be teaching a one-day live class where I'll be going over exactly how to apply this, how to use it. I'll go over current examples of the bracket breakout setups, and I will share with you ways in which I like to apply the BBTM, the bracket breakout trading method. In fact, here's one of them right here. One of the things I've learned is a secret way in which to filter out. Now, this is, once again, not guaranteed 100%, but it seems a really good way to filter out false setups. For example, here was a setup in SAM, the Boston Beer Company, all right? This was in March going back, but as you can see here, we have a setup, the top bracket and the lower bracket, all right? No one knows which way it's gonna go yet. We have 2 inside days, so we're kind of waiting for this to take place. And as we're waiting, look what happened here. A sell setup was generated on the 3rd day. We could have gone short, but look what happened. We got stopped out. So it turned into a loss, right? Well, with this feature that I'm going to be sharing with you only to the members of this class in the live event, you would not have taken that setup. In fact, you would have bypassed that altogether and said, I'm only going to be taking this if we violate the upper threshold. So you could have simply waited for as long as you wanted to, for as long as that was in place, bought right here, and potentially captured 190 points in 3 weeks. That's all because of the feature you'll only get in the class. This is the live class. So I'm going to be sharing with you ways in which I like to trade it. And remember, class size is limited, so reserve your spot now. Here's how to take advantage of this great discount, all this great information, and take advantage of this one-day live class with me. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They're in charge of all the pricing, all the discounts, and signing up, and as well as tech support. You can contact them by emailing them at trading@protraderstrategies.com or by calling them directly at area code 310-598-6677. Okay, now I would highly suggest doing that. It's the easiest and simplest way to sign up and make sure you reserve your spot in the class. Also, if you want more information, if you're not sure you want to sign up yet, but want more information about the course or about the platform or about tech support, you can call them anyway at that number, 310-598-6677. They would be more than willing to just answer any question you have with no obligation at all to purchase. But if you are interested and you'd like to sign up online, that link you see at the bottom is the link that will take you up to the sign up page as well as the info page. Now, it's not a live link, but you're going to have to copy and paste that onto your browser. I don't know if they're going to post that on the chat box, but that's something you can easily just copy and paste onto your browser, and you can go to that sign up page online, okay? Now, I promised you I would answer any question that you have, so I'll leave this information on the screen as I open up the chat box. Let me just look here and see, people are asking, what is the launch date for the bracket breakout method? Well, we're looking actually within the next week or two. It's going to be within August, and it's probably no further than 2 weeks. We're really trying to speed this up. We've had a ton of interest in this, and we may even actually have 2 classes, but we're trying to keep it to 1 because we want to keep it, intimate. We don't really want to share the secrets a lot with a lot of people that are, just kind of just join and just forget about it. We really want you to learn this. So I'll spend at least an hour or 2 hours in this one-day class sharing with you the ways to trade it and ways to identify setups and different ways to elevate your success with trading. We don't, we're different from other companies in that we really want to educate you. We're not here just saying, okay, good luck, just read the pamphlet and the info instructions and good luck trading. We're really, geared towards teaching you so that you can be a successful and consistent trader. So in the class, we'll spend a lot of time answering questions and go over your ideas and thoughts and many questions you may have, okay? Let me see here. Some people were having trouble. Once again, someone said, yes, if you just click on the view on the top right of the screen, many times that will alleviate your issue. So I hope everyone was able to do that. And I thank you for bringing that up. Let's see here. I'm already using and love the platform, but can or should I use the bracket breakout method or combination with the PTSXT, a PET-D, or steps, or is it better to use the bracket breakout method separately? Well, that's a great question. This is from a good student of ours. You know, it's something I will be covering in the course. I don't really want to go into it, but just to give you an overall answer to that question, it's really up to you. I know a lot of our students are going to be new to this, and so they don't have other methods. So I don't want to feel as if you're required that you can only trade this along with a PET-D, or you can only trade along with a PTSXT. But there are certain other combinations that I've seen that work well. And if you do happen to have that, that's great. But we don't want to require that where people feel like, well, you know, I bought this, and now in order to get the best signals, I have to buy this too, because it's not that, we're not that kind of a company. We're not trying to upsell you to something and, you know, a bait and switch. This is really fine if you want to use it hands alone. There are other ways to use it as well, combined with others. But I'll go into a little bit better detail. And remember, nothing we're not a systematic company, so nothing is back tested and researched. And we'll say, you know, oh, your odds for success will increase 90% if you use it in conjunction with this tool, because we don't believe that. We know everyone should, and we encourage everyone to trade differently. But we've just seen things that may help you, so we just want to let you know so you can experiment on your own. And so that's what we're really saying, and that's what we'll go over in the course. But I will, someone's asking, will you show how you use it? Yes, I will. I'll show you exactly how I use it in my, you know, I'm not going to tell you what signals I take and which ones I don't, because once again, that's not what we do here. We're not a signal service. But I'll show you, if you presented me with a example, I would show you how I would apply how I like to do it. But that's just to give you information. And once again, we're just giving this to you so that you can decide for yourself. We do not want you to trade the way someone else trades. That's a recipe for disaster. You have to pick your own way, okay? So that's really what we're all about. Good questions. How long are the classes? Well, they're a minimum of an hour. Sometimes they'll go 2 or 3. We've gone 3 hours before in the past. I don't see this going more than an hour because we're just talking about this one feature, but it really depends on how many people we have and how many questions. It's not so much on the actual number of people. It's just related to, if we have more people in class, there's going to be more questions. And so that will take a longer time. But everyone will get the same information. It's not like it's going to be staggered or more advanced for some people and more simplistic for others. Everyone gets the same basic information because the tool can be used a number of different ways. It's up for you to decide how you want to apply it. Okay, and that's what we're going to present to everyone. So just to reiterate, class will most likely be starting within the next 2 weeks at the latest. Someone's asking what days are the classes? Well, the days usually have been on a Friday or even on a Saturday. It's up to you. Most likely we like to have them on a Friday, like around 10 o'clock Pacific time. That way you can gather the information, and then over the weekend, you can research and try to practice paper trade, or just go over the week and see what you could have done or how you would have applied it. And so we want to give you those 2 extra free days where there's no market action to study and to research. And then you can also email me whenever you like and contact me, and I can answer over the weekend any questions you may have. So we'd rather have it at the end of the week or beginning of the weekend on a Saturday morning to give you plenty of time to research and practice, as opposed to having it on a Monday or Tuesday, even prior to the opening, because, you know, we don't want to take you away from your trading. Also, you know, we've seen that some people, they jump in too quickly. They don't paper trade, or they don't practice enough. And if we have it on a Tuesday or so, they start trading it Wednesday, and most likely they'll implement the rules incorrectly, or the idea behind it, and they'll lose money. So I don't want you to lose money. I want you to practice at least over the weekend. That would be the best thing. But these are all subject to change. Remember, if we have enough people from different countries, different time zones, we'll take a vote at which is the best for everyone included, okay? But with all of our courses, everything is recorded. So you won't have to worry if you can't make that particular class. You'll get a recording of it and you'll be able to watch at your own leisure, all right? Remember, we're discounting the price 20%. Once the course opens up and you're the first students, you know, when I give another webinar about this, after you've started trading with it, it'll probably be back to 5,000. So you want to take advantage of this. On top of that, you're getting a full year of the platform. So if you're really interested in this, watch the video, look at the examples again, and then decide, but make it quick because we're going to start class very soon and we want you to take advantage of that pre-launch special, okay? If there are no further questions, I just want to thank you so much. I thank you for bearing with us as we're getting our gears, around this new platform of Zoom. We've changed our setup, but thanks for any difficulties we may have. Remember, you're all going to be sent a recording to this, so if you weren't able to see or hear clearly, you'll all be able to watch again at your own leisure. But thank you so much. Remember, watch the video, but decide right away because class will start in the next few weeks, okay? Thanks for attending, and I look forward to seeing you all in the Breakout Breakout Method course. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.